Hey, what's going on? Y'all back at the East of the Streets, man. It's AK Showtime. So look, man, like I said, man, I was gonna talk about some Lonzo Ball and the LA Lakers, man. Um, Lonzo and the Lakers, man, he's been back the last 4 games. They've won 3 out of the 4. They lost to Memphis his first night back, but since then they won 3 straight. Against the Atlanta Hawks, the Sacramento Kings, and the San Antonio Spurs, all in decisive fashion. Now you can say, oh, well, it's the Hawks, Kings, and Spurs. Obviously the Spurs are probably obviously are the better of the 3. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't have, I don't think, Kawhi Leonard. They did have LaMarcus Aldridge, Pau Gasol, by the way. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of other players on the Spurs that, while they may not be stars, they can obviously play. Devontae Murray or Devontae Murray, whatever the dude's name is, that dude can play. That dude is going to be their new starting point guard in the future when the Spurs clean house and, you know what I'm saying, Tony Parker ends up retiring, or Manu ends up retiring. They could probably play him at the 2 guard. The kid is just that good. He is just that good. And I seen it, you know what I'm saying, I seen it a lot during the playoffs last year. Like, even when they got beat by Golden State, like when they played Houston last year and they won in 6 games, DeMonte Murray came out and he lit Houston up off that bench, man. That kid can play. He can dish the ball too. He's not just a scorer. He can really dish the ball. You know what I'm saying? So these are the type of dudes that the Spurs build from within, man. They build in-house. They draft these kids, man. Popovich knows what he's doing. They got another kid that they picked up from like the G League or something like that, a la Jonathan Simmons. You know what I'm saying? They developed them, and they gonna have a solid future, man. I think even if Popovich retire, like when Park and Manu do or something like that, even though I don't think he will, because obviously he's still gonna have Kawhi Leonard. He's gonna want to coach them for the next few years. You know what I'm saying? As he enters his prime, but San Antonio was obviously the better of 3 teams, but they beat them last night, and they gonna win 50 games. So obviously, yeah, they beat them, you know what I'm saying, with subs and scrubs, if you want to call them that. But they still be the team that's gonna go to the playoffs. And Sacramento is Sacramento. Atlanta is Atlanta, 2 of the worst teams in the NBA. But like I said, these are games that they need to win to obviously not get. I mean, it'll probably hurt their draft. It'll probably hurt their draft order. Although Philly is probably gonna get one of them picks, so I think Boston is gonna get one of them top 2 picks if they finish in the top 2 or 3, or between like 2 and 5, I think. So either way, I don't think they're gonna be able to keep that pick. If they do keep that pick, even better, but I don't think they're gonna be able to keep that pick anyway. So win more games, less ping pong balls, you know what I'm saying? The better you do in the draft, and you can still keep your first round pick, I guess. I don't know how the whole situation worked, but I think that's how they explained it. But the performances of Lonzo Ball, especially the last 2 games, over this 3-game stretch, man, the dude had 5 points. Dude had 5 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists, and a good, you know what I'm saying, a solid win over the Kings. Like I said, they won in decisive fashion. And then last night, flirted with a triple double, man. Flirted with a triple double. Last night had 13 points, 10 boards, I think 10 or 11 boards, and he had 6 assists. And he shot very, very well. Very well. And I think he's getting comfortable now in his mid-range game. I think he's getting comfortable going to the rim. Not as much because he still didn't shoot free throws. He still didn't shoot a lot of free throws last night. But I think the one thing about Lonzo is that he'll never be like a big dynamic scorer. He'll score when he gets the opportunity to score, but he's a pass first guy. He gets other guys involved, a la Jason Williams, a Jason Kidd, a Tony Parker early in their career. And I think that's his ceiling. I think between those 3 guys, Jason Kidd, Jason Williams, Tony Parker, depending on the level of point guard you think they are, I think obviously based off the accomplishments, I think, and just the overall play style, I think Jason Williams is the lowest on the bar. No disrespect to White Chocolate, because obviously he was great, but he couldn't shoot a lick when he was younger. He obviously got better as time went on, but he was never really a great jump shooter or a great shooter, period. But he can get to the rim sorta, but he would always like to pass the ball first. Jason Kidd could really get to the rim, could pass the ball, could drive, could shoot. Sorta was a better, got better as a 3-point shooter as time evolved, as time went on, and he evolved. And he was obviously great on defense. Lonzo, I don't think will be a great individual defender, but I think he'll be a great team defender like Tony Parker. And Tony Parker was a guy who could really pass the ball and could really get in the lane and disrupt passing lanes. He could get a lot of steals. He could get to the rim. And Tony Parker obviously developed into, I think Tony Parker developed into the better jump shooter of all 3 of those guys, because he developed a great float game, a great floater game, a great running game. He could cross people up, you know what I'm saying? He could, you know what I'm saying? He had eyes behind the back of his head. He could make the flashy pass. He could make the smart pass. He could make everything. And another guy I think Lonzo can compare to in terms of his passing and his rebounding is Rajon Rondo. Like, Rondo, if you remember like a stretch when he was like in Boston, he kind of sort of did it a handful of times when he was in Sacramento, maybe once or twice when he was in Dallas, and then like when he got to Chicago, he played a lot, but you know, like I said, he got benched a few times in Chicago. You know, him and the coaching staff really didn't get along, but Rondo had a stretch. When he was in Boston, like 2012, 2013 or whatever, before he got hurt, and then ended his career, and then kind of ended his career in Boston because he could never really like regain his form. He had a stretch where he was a triple-double machine. Rondo was a guy who could score in bunches. Obviously, he was never a great jump shooter. He worked on it, but he could never really like make anything outside of maybe like 10 to 15 feet. But Rondo was a triple-double machine. Rondo would get boards. Rondo would get boards and run up the court and throw a fucking dime. I'm talking about a picture perfect pass to KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen when they were still there, like that last year in Boston, like 2012 and 2013, like when he had like a young Avery Bradley and Jeff Green and Jared Wallace and all them dudes that, you know what I'm saying, Danny Ainge kind of picked up, you know what I'm saying, to use his trade bait, you know what I'm saying, to get all them first round picks. He ended up accumulating and building the team that he, you know what I'm saying, we see now. But Rondo was a hell of a player, bro. He was a hell of a passer, could rebound real well, especially later on in his career. and he can score. He could really get to the rim. Rondo struggled a lot, as I said, Lonzo does right now with his free throws. For a point guard period, Rondo really didn't shoot free throws that well. I've seen a lot early in his career, and he got a hang of it a little bit, but he was never really like a great free throw shooter. You know what I'm saying? He would make them occasionally when he had to, kind of like Shaq, but he was never really like a great free throw shooter as a point guard, and that's bad. I hope Lonzo would get that corrected, that part of his game corrected. But other than that, Lonzo has a great ceiling, bro. Like I said, in terms of the play styles between them 4 point guards, I'm not even gonna call him Chris Paul because I think Chris Paul ultimately is going to be a better shooter and a better scorer, especially from the 3-point line, than Lonzo will ever dream to be. Because Chris Paul, say what you want about Chris Paul. Chris Paul, when he decides to get out of it, Chris Paul can score with the best of them, bro. I'm not even just talking about guards. I'm talking about just overall players in the NBA. He can score with the best of them. And Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram, they can. I'm talking about two 6'10" dudes that can shoot either off the dribble. Kyle not as much, but Brandon, I see a little bit of ball handling skill with him. He's got to get stronger. He's got to get a little bit stronger. I don't think his frame will ever be like muscular. I don't think he'll ever like escape that frame. He will always look kind of, his arms will always look like, you know what I'm saying, string beans, but he can get strong. He can get just a little bit stronger. Maybe put like 5-10 pounds of muscle on, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know what I'm saying, just a little bit more weight, and you know, he'll be all right. Kyle Kuzma, I think, can get stronger. I think he can work on his ball handle a little bit more. But to me, he like a 6'10" Klay Thompson. I think he can get, if he can come off screens and he can, you know what I'm saying, spat up from 3, I think he'll be a great wing defender. And I also think that he can be a great wing defender if he works at it. His defense needs to improve. I think he could be a great 6'10" like wing defender and guard 7-foot dudes in the post. I think he can defend guards and everything like Draymond and Klay Thompson and all them dudes do. I think he can be one of those stretch 3, stretch 4 guys and play multiple positions and guard multiple positions. But Lonzo is the engine that makes that guy, that makes it go. He's kind of like Rajon Rondo early in his career. Didn't really ask to do much. You got future Hall of Famer here, you got a future Hall of Famer there, you got a future Hall of Famer there, and then you got some solid guys that you can pass the ball to off the bench. You know what I'm saying? If you want to play with the second unit, you know what I'm saying? Like that 08 team with Eddie House and Sam Cassell, they had shooters all on the bench. Big Baby, all them dudes. And obviously you got Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, KG to pass the ball to, and it make your job easier. You can get 12, 15 assists and score 9 points, and wasn't nobody even better eyelash, because it wasn't his job to score. Now later on he had to, because them dudes was getting older and Danny Ainge was gonna clean house anyway. But Rondo wasn't asked to do that much early in his career. Tony Parker wasn't asked to do that much early in his career. Jason Kidd was, but Jason Kidd had to because he was on a bad Dallas team with Jamal Mashburn and, you know what I'm saying, Jim Jackson. But if I look at that Dallas team, I say, okay, Jamal Mashburn, Jim Jackson were like the scorers on that team, and Jason Kidd had to feed him the rock. I think Lonzo, Kyle Kuzma, and Brandon Ingram could be that. And I'll make another video on Brook Lopez. He's starting to piss me off. Him and Julius Randle, I think they need to be trade bait. But anyway, I'm out. Let me know what y'all think.